Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Now, today was going to be one of those episodes in the series that I told you about. I'm going to visit my 2016 self on this series about healing and healing. Today's episode is 5 ways to combat anxiety. And the Google tells me that I wrote this originally on March 24th of 2016. So this is going to be fun. I'm just going to read it, y'all. I'm not going to, you know me, I'm going to have my ad libs, but I'm so entertained. Okay, you don't care. But I did want to say, hey, remember, take care of yourself. If something comes up, it becomes too much, cut this off. Go listen to something else. No worries, no hard feelings. You have to take care of you. All right, so let's get to it. For the past few days, I've noticed that my anxiety has been building. Anxiety has been something that I've been dealing with all my life. There are times, though, it becomes more severe. Like even before I wake up in the morning, y'all, this is still true. I hear my anxiety before I even realize that I'm awake. Meaning I hear the voices in my brain before I even realize, girl, you're not dreaming no more. It's morning. Your alarm is going off. My brain is working overtime. Like there are obsessive thoughts from what are you going to eat today? Oh, don't forget to call so and so. Oh, did you respond to that email? Oh, that's what it feels like. And it could be so much that it could be really hard to get out of bed. All I want to do is stay in the bed and watch YouTube videos. In fact, though, I even wake up an hour early just so that I can stay in the bed and watch YouTube videos. Right? You got your process, I got my process. I need to watch something before I get out the bed. I guess I do need to for my nervous system. Right? But back then, if I'm not careful, 3 hours could easily pass by in the morning and I'm still laying in the same spot in the same position watching YouTube videos on repeat. And if I'm not careful, what will happen is those 3 hours and lead me like the whole time I'm obsessing over you need to get out the bed. You got things to do. You can't sit here all day. You got to get up. Do you know people are waiting for you? Get up. And the more that I obsess over those, and that voice gets louder and louder and louder, the harder and harder and harder it becomes to get out the bed because the shame is too much, the overwhelm is too much, the anxiety is too much. And it's like, what's the point of going through another day just to pick up more things to be more anxious about? As you can imagine, this pattern it's a lot of hours that nothing is happening, which, can be fine, right? Because capitalism tells us we need to always be producing and that's a waste. I don't think of it as a waste because I put waste in this thing that I'm reading. I said that I wasted a whole day and this is fun. This is why I'm so glad I get to do this with y'all. Okay, I promise you I'm going to stop doing this. Like this is fun. It's blowing my brain. But this is the difference between me in 2016 and me in 2023. Me in 2016 thought that was a waste of time because me in 2016 was a doc student who could not figure out how to put one word on the page. At this point, in March 24th, 2016, it had been 4 to 5 months and I hadn't written anything. That my only job, quote unquote, was to write a dissertation that I couldn't even open my laptop up. I could write this. I wrote all these episodes, but I couldn't write a dissertation. And so I used to tell myself, you're wasting time. You're wasting so much. And I used to blame my anxiety for being wasteful. It's not wasteful, y'all. My body was trying to tell me something. My body was trying to say, hey, girl, this ain't working out for you. I don't think you want to do this academic thing. But I didn't know that. Doesn't mean that these tips ain't helpful. I just wanted to add that caveat. But here's what 2016 version of me had to say about how you can work with your anxiety. Number one, you got to breathe. I 10 toes down believe this. I used to think, I'm like, breathing. Why do people keep talking about breathing? What's breathing going to do? Do you not know the level of anxiety that I have? Y'all, you need to breathe because your nervous system, right? The nervous system, I like to think about it as a 3-year-old running around with a Sharpie or a knife. You got to figure out how you like to think about it. The reason why I like thinking about my nervous system as a 3-year-old is because it helps me to remember you cannot speak logic to a 3-year-old. If they don't understand logic, they want to do what they want to do. They're grown. Okay. They 3 going on 30. If you've been around a 3-year-old, you know what I mean. Kind of reason with a 3-year-old is like, I don't know if I should squeeze you, hug you, choke you. I'm not really sure, but you're bringing out all my emotions. They don't speak in logic. They speak in emotions. And you're trying to calm a 3-year-old down in the middle of a tantrum. They're gonna have to breathe at some point. Because if they 3-year-olds like I was 3-year-old, I quickly went from crying to hyperventilating easily within seconds. Right? In order to come out of hyperventilation, you gotta breathe. You gotta learn how to take deep breaths. You slow everything down, right? I gotta slow my heart rate down. I gotta slow down the inhale and exhale. I gotta give my body a chance to what's the word? To regulate itself. That's what I'm trying to say. I have to give the body a chance to regulate. And the quickest way to do that is to breathe. Because if you are focusing on long, slow, deep, wide breaths, you know what you can't do? Freak out. It's harder. The body can't focus on multiple things in that way. So something I love to do is box breathing. All that means is you inhale for 4, you hold for 4, you release for 4, you hold for 4, you inhale for 4, hold it, release. I'm breathing with you on here because I want you to practice it now. Take a deep breath, hold it, release. And when you release, you want to blow out as hard as possible. You want to get all the stale air out. If you can do that for a good 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, it don't even require that long. If you can let yourself do that for a few minutes, you will learn to regulate yourself, at least enough to figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do next? Do I still want to lay here? Do I want to get out the bed? The difference here is I'm making a decision from a calm place, not from a erratic place, not from a tantrum that my 3-year-old self is throwing. I get to come back into the logical part of my brain and say, what is it that you want to do? Do you need to get out this bed or do we need to lay here? But the more that I try to ignore my emotions and I try to talk shit to myself and beat myself up, you shouldn't be in this bed. You need to get up. You need to get out. That's just making the anxiety worse and worse and worse. But I'm like, we're going to calm down. Then we're going to make a decision. But that's number 1. Number 2, my anxiety clearly has something to say. I want you to start thinking about your anxiety as a separate person. A toddler, remember, a toddler that has something to say to you. So I want you to take out a sheet of paper or a journal or a notebook. I have a notebook that I just get from Target. Go to the Target little section and then get a little spiral notebook. And every day I just try to fill out a page in that notebook. This is not about perfect. It's not about showing up every day, but I could tell you, I know the difference between me doing this every day and when I don't do it. All I want you to do is write out your thoughts, brain dump onto the page. And my rule is 1 thought per line. It doesn't matter how short the thought is. I just write it. If it's longer than a line, then I just let myself take out to go to the next line. But when the next thought starts, I just go to the next line. We're not letting this be, we don't care about spelling. We're not letting it be perfect. We just writing out our thoughts, right? So it might be, I just want to go back to bed. I wish I was still watching YouTube. I want to leave. I want to run away. I want some tacos. Weed sounds real good right now. I don't judge my thoughts. I just let myself write and write and write. It's the very act of emptying out my brain that helps bring the anxiety down just one more notch. I'm not trying to read it or study it to figure out what does it mean? How do I fix myself? Nope. I'm just letting that out. And this isn't the writing part. Most of the time, at least for me, isn't something that's going to immediately make me feel better unless I'm real angry. Then I'll rage on a page and I'll say everything that comes to my mind, colorful and otherwise. But this is a daily practice. It's more like it's kind of like brushing my teeth. It's like a habit that helps me to regulate my anxiety and all of my emotions. I promise you, over time, you will feel its impact because it will just grow and grow and grow. Now, if you're like the rest of my clients who are like, I don't want to do this journaling thing, girl. And I'm like, well, do you want to be calm? Do you want to be able to make decisions from a regulated space? And just write it on the page. You don't got to tell me about your deepest, darkest fears. You don't got to say anything about, well, today was a good day. I don't really care. Just empty out your brain. And no one has to see it. They don't show it to me. But I think sometimes people have this idea of journaling and they're like, it just doesn't work for me. And I'm like, but have you tried it? And if they're like, no, but seriously, the writing part doesn't do it for me, I would say, okay, well, just talk to yourself on the phone. Like sometimes I can't write. Sometimes I have to pick up my phone, open up the voice notes app, and I just have to talk to the phone because I can't do the writing part. But it's not so much about doing it a certain way. It is about allowing yourself to release all the pent up thoughts that you have because your anxiety is trying to tell you something, but you can't hear it when all this other stuff is floating around your brain. Okay, I think you got number 2. So number one was breathe. Number two was write it out. Number three, go outside. Go outside. In 2016, my apartment didn't have any natural light coming in because the windows, although it had windows, it was covered by bushes. I don't know the school. I was staying on campus. They didn't think that through. So I didn't have any natural light. I didn't really go outside because it's Georgia. Summer. Like, I mean, March is summer, y'all. Like, seriously. It's hot. Why would I do that? So I would just stay inside. And let me tell you, when you're not getting the sunlight, it greatly impacts your mood. It is the reason why I live back in Georgia now, because I was in Chicago and I was like, I can't do another winter with no sunlight. It's gray and gloomy all the time. I was like, I need to leave. So I came back to Georgia because I was like, well, yeah, it's hot, but at least I get the sun in the wintertime. And that is more important. But you would be surprised how much sun and being outside can do to regulate your nervous system. It grounds you. Just the act of being outside and seeing trees, seeing grass, seeing nature. Yeah, I don't want the bugs to touch me, but it's just being out there will ground you. The vitamin D that you get from the sun will ground you. The fresh air, it does something to your body. Right? Most of the times I just sit in my car and watch other people be outside. You want to know why? Because there are no bugs in the car. There's air conditioning in the car. There's windows I can watch outside. When I need to feel the fresh air, I let the window down. But in the car is where I used to do a lot of my breathing and my journaling, the writing down the thoughts. Now I love to take a short walk around the block to get outside. I live in a different, I'm no longer in an apartment. I'm in a house. I love to go in the backyard and just sit on the steps and watch Sir make up things and ignore his dog friends that live next door. But it's going outside will lift your mood. It will help you so much. That's number three. Number four, move your body. Your body. This doesn't mean like go run a marathon. It means let your blood pump. At this time, I was going to the gym every day, I think lifting weights. No, I wasn't going every day because this was a hard time. I used to go every day because I'm reading what it says. But it was something, and I want to get back into lifting weights because it's something about lifting heavy weights that forces you to have to pull from somewhere inside of you to lift it up. And I used to use my anxiety. I used to channel the anxiety to be like, push. That too is an act of grieving and mourning because you have to push from something. It's a great way to use to channel your anxiety and your anger into something. I wish y'all could see me on a video. If you're watching a video, shout out to you. But like pushing the weights helps you. It gives your anxiety a job to do. It's like push the weights. And when I work out, I naturally get hungry because I just extended so much energy. Whereas when I don't work out, I'm like, food, who needs that? I don't need that. Maybe your thing isn't weightlifting. Maybe it's walking. Maybe it's yoga, gentle stretching. Maybe you have a dance party with your dog. Just me, because when I'm on the TikTok, I'd be dancing, okay? But the point is, if you don't move your body, if your blood doesn't get to pump and you don't get to sweat, there's no release. Emotions live in the body. Y'all have heard of the book, right? The Body Keeps the Score. If you haven't, it's a very popular book, a very helpful book, but don't only read it when you have the capacity to do that. But your body keeps the score. So the emotions can get trapped in your body. This is how we get like pains and aches, especially in our back and our shoulders and our neck, maybe your hips. Maybe you start to have knee problems. It's all pent up emotions. If you have very tight hips, pent up emotion, because your body has nothing to do with it, because you're not moving it. So there's nothing circulating the way it needs to. Move your body. Number 5, be creative. If you have more time, you really do want to relax, and you stack a creative activity. So like for me, I want to watch YouTube and I stack an activity on top of that. Sometimes I used to decorate planners all the time. I used to have like 5 or 6 planners and I would just have all the stickers and whatnot and decorate it. Sometimes it's like cooking a meal without a recipe. Yeah, one of my favorite shows is to watch Chopped. It's a show where they get like 4 mystery ingredients and they find out what those are and they have to cook a meal in like 15 minutes or 20 minutes depending on the round. I love that show. I do that by myself. I'm like, what can I go in the kitchen? Because it's really helpful because I'm not always the best about making sure I have groceries in the house. And so sometimes I have to be like, okay, I got a bag of rice, I got some beans, I got some pineapples, I got some hot sauce. What can I make with this? And that's fun because it's creative for me and it helps me to express my emotions. A lot of times I come up with some really good meals. Sometimes I'm like, girl, who is eating that? Not me. Maybe cooking isn't your thing. Maybe decorating isn't your thing, like a planner. Maybe you want to do like a vision board. I saw this thing the other day that was like, make a vision board for every age that you were, like that represents the year and what you were into. I was like, that's really cute. That's a really cute inner child activity. Maybe you want to go get a puzzle. Maybe you want to go color. Pick something that your inner child would have absolutely loved, something that you would have loved doing at 8 or 9 or 10 that maybe you didn't have the money to do or you didn't have the ability to do it. Do something and be creative. Because the more that you can allow that side of you to flourish, the more that your anxiety will go calm down somewhere. Because a lot of the times, the reason why we have such high anxiety is because it's our right. Anxiety is our internal warning system. It's trying to tell you something's off, something's wrong. And usually, what's off or wrong is that you've been repressing your emotions. You've been ignoring yourself. You've been ignoring your needs. These 5 tips is to help you tune back into what is it that you need in the moment. If you have worked with me or you're a current client, then you know I have what are called the 5 basics. Drinking 64 ounces of water, going to sleep 7 hours a night. It used to be take 60 minutes for yourself, but I find that to be really hard for people to do every day. And so that's something more I do on a one-on-one basis is I help people at least take an hour a day for themselves. I have them write for 10 minutes, move for 10 minutes, and do their top 3, which is just 3 activities for them that gets their day started. I ask them to tell me how they're doing with that every day, just as a check-in, not to be perfect, but it's a reminder to say, have you been taking care of yourself? I do that because we don't always know how to take care of ourselves. And now that I'm looking at this 2016 article, it's based off of this 5 things to do. Please try that out. Let me know. And I promise you, y'all, I will stop going back to the 2016 part, but let me know. And I will talk to you next time.